Hello, dear friends. Today's English story is called The Pumpkin Fairy. It's a magical tale about kindness, hard work, and what it truly means to receive a blessing. Now let me tell you this enchanting story. Long ago, nestled between rolling hills and sparkling rivers, there was a village surrounded by vast fields of grain. Life was simple and joyful here. Children chased butterflies through meadows, and families gathered in the town square for festivals under the warm summer sun. But nestled at the edge of the village was a sight that stole the breath of every traveler. It was a garden unlike any other. Pumpkins glowed in hues of gold and orange. Cornstalks reached for the sky, and the sweet scent of ripening fruits hung heavy in the air. People came from distant lands just to catch a glimpse of this enchanted place. They marveled at its rows of plump pumpkins, juicy melons, and fruits that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. They had never seen anything so magnificent. The garden's fame grew, and soon merchants from faraway cities made pilgrimages to buy its produce. Villagers, too, basked in the glow of their extraordinary bounty. Their tables overflowed with food, and their days were filled with the laughter of children playing in the fields. But over time, the villagers grew careless. The annual harvest festival turned into a week-long celebration filled with music, dancing, and feasting. Trade became their main focus, and caring for the garden slipped from their minds. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and as the seasons shifted, so did the fortunes of the garden. The soil, once rich and fertile, hardened into cracked, lifeless ground. Vines withered, fruit rotted on the vine, and the air grew heavy with the stench of decay. The joyous colors of the garden faded, replaced by the dull hues of neglect. No longer the pride of the village, it became a shadow of its former self. Yet, amidst the decay, something miraculous persisted. One giant pumpkin continued to grow, glowing faintly as if fueled by a light from within. And inside its warm, sheltering depths lived a fairy named Pamina. She wasn't like ordinary fairies. Her delicate wings shimmered with a soft orange glow, and her dress sparkled like autumn leaves kissed by the morning dew. Her laughter echoed like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, and her touch brought comfort to wilting petals and drooping vines. Every night, as the silver moon painted the sky, she would step out of her glowing pumpkin home and sprinkle magic dust over the garden. Her tiny feet danced lightly on the cracked soil, and her soft voice wove tales of resilience and renewal. But no matter how much she worked, the beds remained stubbornly dry, and the flowers refused to bloom. The vegetables didn't rise, and the garden remained trapped in slumber. One evening, a young boy named Econ stumbled into the forgotten garden. He wasn't from the village. His family had come from a distant land seeking a better life. But life wasn't easy for them, and hunger often gnawed at their bellies. Econ sat beside the giant pumpkin, his eyes filled with a deep sadness. "Oh, if only this land could wake up again," he whispered to the quiet air. "Maybe my family wouldn't have to go hungry." The words tumbled out, filled with a pure longing for a better life. And somehow they reached the heart of Pamina, who emerged from the pumpkin in a gentle golden glow. Econ gasped, his eyes wide with wonder. He had never seen a fairy before. "Do not be afraid," Pamina said softly, her voice like the tinkling of bells. "I am the Pumpkin Fairy, guardian of this sleeping garden. And you, little one, have spoken with a heart full of kindness." Echo and stared at her, his lower lip trembling slightly. "Are you real? Can you really help my family?" "Indeed, I am real," Pumpkina replied with a smile. "And while magic alone cannot awaken this garden, a pure heart working with love can do wonders. Would you help me bring the garden back to life?" Econ's face lit up with excitement. "Of course I will," he exclaimed, jumping to his feet. "Anything to help my family in this beautiful garden." And so began the most extraordinary partnership. Each morning, Econ raced to the garden. He pulled stubborn weeds, loosened the parched earth, and carried heavy buckets of water from the well. As he worked, he sang songs of hope and laughter, believing that the plants, too, could hear his love. High above, Pamina danced joyfully, sprinkling her fairy blessing on every seed and sprout. Together, they coaxed the garden back to life. Tiny green shoots emerged, reaching for the sunlight. First came soft leaves, then delicate buds, and soon the garden burst into a riot of color. Bright pumpkins swelled in the sun, golden corn stretched towards the sky, and rows of crisp carrots and climbing beans filled the air with their fresh scent. Word of this miracle spread like wildfire. Villagers arrived carrying baskets, tools, and laughter. They worked side by side, reawakening the garden's magic. The whole village united in a common purpose, sharing meals, stories, and dreams for the future. Together they chased away the shadows of the past. But not everyone was happy about the garden's revival. One day a greedy merchant crept into the garden under the cloak of darkness. He had heard tales of the glowing pumpkins and dreamed of owning such a treasure. He imagined the riches he would gain if he could bottle the garden's magic and sell it to faraway kingdoms. But greed clouded his heart. The moment his fingers touched the vines, Pumina appeared in a blaze of golden light. Her voice echoed across the sleeping beds. "Those who take with greed shall never taste sweetness." The words hung in the air, heavy with warning. Before he could react, the pumpkin vines sprung to life, coiling around him and lifting him high into the air. The merchant flailed wildly, his face pale with terror. His basket tumbled from his grasp, scattering its contents across the ground. The vines tightened their grip, and suddenly his greed vanished, replaced by a deep sadness. He cried out, not with anger or defiance, but with fear and remorse. Pumina hovered in front of him, her gaze unwavering. "Little fairy, please forgive me," the merchant pleaded, tears streaming down his face. "I was selfish and foolish. Please set me free." Pumpkina surveyed the damage he had caused, the crushed sprouts and trampled soil, but she also saw the genuine remorse in his eyes. Her heart, though fierce, was not unkind. She understood that greed often stemmed from fear and desperation. She waved her magic wand, and the vines released their hold on the merchant. "Go," she said, her voice softer now, "and do not return until you have learned the value of sharing." Then, with a graceful flick of her glowing wings, she banished him from the garden. The merchant stumbled away, his heart heavy with shame. As he walked, he realized the depth of his folly. He had almost destroyed a place that brought joy and sustenance to an entire village just for a selfish gain. From that day on, the garden flourished. Families planted seeds together, neighbors shared meals, and laughter replaced the old silence. Econ's mother, too, recovered her strength with the fresh food, and no one in the village went hungry again. Whenever the villagers told this story to their children, they ended it with Pumina's shining words. "Blessings belong to those who share, not those who steal. Only a pure heart can keep a garden alive." And each harvest season, as the moon rose over the golden fields, children would swear they saw a faint orange light glowing inside the largest pumpkin, a gentle reminder that real magic never dies where kindness lives. This enchanting tale reminds us that magic doesn't always lie in spells and potions, but can be found in the everyday miracles of nature and the power of human kindness. It teaches us that greed and selfishness wither like weeds, but generosity makes a garden bloom forever. Remember, the greatest magic of all is a heart full of love and the courage to follow one's dreams.